sjs.com or on my website, rsvp65.com. And you can also watch on my Facebook page at Jill Berlin. And if you are new to the show, I am your licensed health insurance broker. You can email me with your questions at jill@rsvp65.com. And you can find out more on my website. All right. So today we are going to talk about the American Cancer Society. And that is so important because cancer impacts so many people. And we are really excited to have Danielle Sowell here talking about the impacts of not only cancer, but how she is making an impact on our community and helping out people become survivors. All right. So, first, we will start with our inspirational quote for the day. And it is by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. It is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change. And I would say that's true for a lot of what you're doing. Wouldn't you, Danielle?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Okay, so let's talk about cancer. And it is certainly something that impacts so many people. And I'm sure that in college you were not thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But then something happened to where you thought, I have to get involved. So kind of take us through that journey.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, my grandfather and my youngest brother, who was 3 at the time, were both diagnosed with cancer. They actually had their same first chemo treatment the same day. My brother was in Tennessee. My grandfather was in Ohio. So completely different states, started their treatment on the same day. As a high schooler, felt like very powerless. Nothing that I could really do to help or support. And fast forward a couple of years. Well, unfortunately, I lost my grandfather through that time. My brother just turned 18 over the summer, so he is a 15-year cancer survivor, which we are so grateful for. But fast forward a couple of years to college, and one of my roommates said, "Do you want to go to this Relay for Life meeting with me?" Had no idea what Relay for Life was, but sure. In college, freshman, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to meet new people. So said, yeah, let's go. Got involved as a volunteer, and then over the course of the next 4 years became more involved, took on some leadership roles with that Relay for Life event on my college campus, and came time to start thinking about what I wanted to do next after graduating. Had really enjoyed that experience since quite literally the first couple of weeks that I stepped foot on campus, being a part of Relay for Life, which is one of the signature fundraisers for the American Cancer Society. Had worked with several staff partners and decided that that was something that I would like to do permanently, because those diagnoses had impacted me so deeply at such a young age. And unfortunately, since then, over the course of the past almost 10 years, I've countless other folks in my life, both personally, professionally, I've come in contact with that have been touched by this terrible disease as well. So very rewarding work that I get to do, but there's always seems to be another person kind of added to my list of whys. But
And so you, as a senior development manager at the American Cancer Society, you definitely come in contact with a lot of people who need the help. What was that
Absolutely.
like, though, having a family member who was, sometimes when folks are older, you can kind of rationalize, oh, things like this happen. But what was that like for you having a 3-year-old brother?
Well, and unfortunately, it gets a little bit worse. I actually currently have a 4-year-old niece who
Oh
is
my
battling
gosh.
lymphoma. So, which was oddly, they both received their treatment at St. Jude in Memphis. Cannot say enough good things about that organization. Love the work that they're doing. So it was a little bit somewhat oddly comforting when she was diagnosed, knowing that she was going to go to the same place that
Sure.
healed my brother.
Sure.
But outside of that, it was incredibly difficult. And I think now seeing that play out again as an adult, it hit even harder, just
Probably brought up
knowing
a lot of old emotions.
it did. And it was oddly almost exactly 15 years after my brother was diagnosed. He was diagnosed in January. She was diagnosed in February of
Jeez.
this past year. And it brought back a lot of very raw emotions. And again, as an adult, just kind of understanding the repercussions of my brother is my brother was the one that ended up staying with her in Memphis for her first several weeks of
Mm,
treatment. It's like, okay, he has a job, and
mm,
just understanding all of that as an adult and not really understanding it quite as much as a high schooler when we
mhm,
went through this the first time. So it was almost a little bit more difficult because I was realizing the realities that my parents went through
mhm,
and the things that they were thinking about, who's going to stay here with our other two kids while
mhm,
one of us is in the other side of the state with our youngest child. And so just thinking about how all of that impacted and the decisions they had to make just kind of gave me a whole new sense of respect, honestly, for my parents, my family, my brother, and any other families that are going through that sort of journey with a young child. Just how incredibly heartbreaking. And fortunately for both of my close family members, my niece is responding very well to her treatment. As I shared earlier, my brother's a 15-year cancer survivor, so we've been very fortunate, and I know not everyone has that outcome. So again, that's kind of the fire that pushes me on the hard days, because it is a very rewarding
absolutely.
job, but it is a hard job, and not every day is cupcakes and rainbows.
Right. Well, I'm
So,
sure it would be hard for me not to just emotionally take that home with me.
yeah.
So just, statistic wise, in 2023, 1 in 3 people have been diagnosed with cancer, which is
Mhm.
an estimated 1.9 million new cases in 2023. So, what is the mission of the American Cancer Society?
Yeah, and I know those statistics can be very staggering and kinda shocking if you're not familiar with them, and they're not good, and ultimately we wanna move away from that. What I will say is we are having less people die from cancer. There have been those, progressions and treatment and things of that nature, so we are seeing more people living with it or, entering remission and being able to kind of move on with their lives past their diagnosis. But here at the American Cancer Society, we added this fantastic new tagline last year. We went through a rebrand, and it is every cancer, every life. And I think that does a beautiful job of just summing up who we are and what we do. If you're a person and if you have cancer, whatever type of cancer that may be, whatever type of person you may be, we are here for you. We want to help you. We want to support you. And we want to be with you as you walk this journey. So, to put it very simply, we are here to support cancer patients and their families through things like research, advocacy, patient support.
Or it's amazing. And that's the thing too. I think patient support is such a huge one
Hmm.
because when you're going through this process and you're having to not only take care of yourself but also the medical bills on top of it and just trying to figure out what you need, it's just huge.
It is. And it can feel very overwhelming. There can be a lot of there's health insurance, there's finances, there's a lot of people may have to travel to get the best treatment. I shared with you, my brother and my niece both went to a larger, more specialized hospital several hours from home. And that's a reality for a lot of people with lots of different types of cancer to get that best, most successful treatment. They may need to travel for that. So again, there's so many different pieces and so many moving parts. And as a the patient yourself or as the caregiver, you're kind of trying to juggle it all,
Mhm.
trying to make it all work, try to make it all fit together to make sure that that you or your loved one has the very best chance to survive this disease. So there are a lot of different there's a lot of information coming at you, lots of medical providers talking to you and um, telling you all of this information overload, really. And then you're in the back of your mind, what about this? What about that? How are we going to do this? How are we going to make this happen?
You're right.
So just a lot to process.
It really is. All right, we're going to talk when we come back about breast cancer because that is definitely something that affects so many people. And you're going to talk to us about just kind of the estimated new cases. You are listening to the Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. Stay with us. And welcome back. I'm Jill Berlin. You are listening to The Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. If you're new to the show, I am your licensed health insurance broker. You can email me with your questions at jill@rsvp65.com. We are here with Danielle Sowell, who is with the American Cancer Society. She's the Senior Development Manager, and she just helps impact so many people in the community who are impacted by cancer. And we were just talking about breast cancer. Breast cancer is the leading cancer affecting women. It surpasses lung cancer, and just under 300,000 new cases were estimated this year. And I know two of those 300,000. One of them is my best friend, and her sister got it as well. And so they were actually going through it together. And my best friend was funny. She said, "Yeah, my sister got breast cancer, and it's contagious. I got it too."
If you can have a sense of humor,
Right.
that might help a little bit, right?
But there are different types of breast cancer.
Mhm.
And she also jokes, my sister got the good one, I got the bad one. But having said that, it is just tremendously hard to watch someone else go through it, and just the effects that it has on their body going through chemo, and just, things that, kind of gets taken away.
Of course, yeah. I actually similarly had in 2021, my childhood best friend at the time was 28 and received a breast cancer diagnosis. So to say that her world was rocked and everyone around her was just completely caught off guard by being diagnosed at such a young age. Not only does any cancer diagnosis turn your world upside down, but when you're young and in the kind of prime of your life and think that that's not something that would affect you, because why would it? It can very, very challenging for
Right.
sure.
Well, even in your 40s too,
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
just
absolutely.
shocking. Another one of my friends had gotten it, and you just you think, oh well, they're in shape, they're healthy, they're fine.
Mhm.
But what is some of the advice that you're giving to other women out there?
Get those mammograms and talk to your doctor about when the best time to start those is. There are, we do have those general guidelines out there, but remember those are for women of average risk. So if there is anything genetic predisposition or any other underlying health issues that could make you more susceptible, talk to your doctor, get started getting those screenings earlier. And the other piece, and this is, just something that I've seen and kind of learned from many different people going through cancer diagnosis, is advocate for yourself. If you think something is just not right, if you feel something, if you find a lump, speak up, get it checked out. And if someone starts to second guess you or make you feel that you're not being heard or that you're not being taken seriously, go to someone else. That is unfortunately exactly what happened to my best friend being so young. She
Really
went in for her mammogram that her doctor
recommended?
scheduled and recommended because she did find a lump.
Uh-huh.
And I know that it was probably coming from a place of just trying to calm her nerves and
Right.
anxiety, but the techs there doing the mammogram for her were, "Are you sure you need this done? Are you sure you're so young? Are
Uh-huh.
you sure that you need this test done?" And it's like, "Yeah, well, my doctor sent me here.
Yeah.
I have a lump. Yes, I'm sure I need this done." And sure enough, she was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. So just if something, just trust your gut.
Yeah.
It is there for a reason. Trust your instincts and speak up and advocate for yourself, because sometimes you might be the only person that you have to do those things for yourself and
Isn't
look
that
out for
crazy to
yourself.
think
It is.
that would be the case?
It is. Yeah.
Especially with the technicians. And I swear that mammogram machine, I don't know. I don't think it was invented by a woman. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I know it can be very intimidating and uncomfortable, but knowledge is power, and
Knowledge is
you
power.
cannot move forward. You cannot do the things you need to do to take care of a problem if you don't know a problem exists.
Right.
So
That's absolutely right. It's good to arm yourself with information. Okay, so you all have different events
Mhm.
that you do throughout the year to kind of promote the helping out with the American Cancer Society. and you have one coming up.
We do.
Tell us
Yes.
about that.
It is our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer of the Triad campaign, and it kind of culminates in a non-competitive 5K walk every October. So this campaign, it's a team-based fundraising event. So we recruit teams and corporate sponsors from all over the Triad: Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, and those folks make donations, raise funds to support our mission leading up to the walk. And then that walk itself on October 21st, this year anyway, is a celebration of those efforts. We strive to recognize our local breast cancer survivors. We have a special VIP area, VIP tent there for them. We have a kids zone. We have sponsors and vendor booths to visit. Tons of photo opportunities. We have a big, super fun inflatable pink chair that people can get into and take photos. We have an actual photo booth. Um, Food trucks, DJ, so just a lot of high, very pink energy. A lot of high
Yeah.
energy, lots of pink. We encourage, all of our attendees to come out in their best and brightest pink and walk with us. We have a really brief opening ceremony where we do some recognition and some thank yous, and then we start that walk at 10 a.m. that morning. Again, non-competitive in nature. We want those survivors to come out. We don't
Right.
want anyone. I have no business running a 5K. Some do come out and run, but it's not timed or anything, and so we want those survivors to really come out, rally together. A couple of years ago, my first Making Strides event, actually in 2019, so before COVID, there was a lady that I didn't know until after the fact, but she said that she had been diagnosed. I think it was like the week before our Making Strides that year, and her surgery to remove her tumor was actually coming up the following, like a week or two after Making Strides. And she said that being there and seeing survivors taking pictures of signs that said 5-year survivor or 1-year survivor or 15-year survivor. She said that instilled so much hope in her in that journey that she was quite literally getting ready to embark on.
Wow.
And that when she told me that, I met up with her in November. Again, had no idea that that had happened the previous month. Literally got cold chills just hearing her say that, and explain how that kind of gave her that little bit of fuel that she needed for what she was about to embark on.
That's incredible. And
Mhm.
that's the thing is I bet you hear so many stories like that. Is there, some other stories that might stick out where you just go to these events and it's just like because I know that you hear, time and time again.
Yes. And we do. And Making Strides also has kind of been a catalyst for some groups who have lost somebody to breast cancer, especially recently. It kind of provides almost this ability or this opportunity, this place to heal a little bit. We know grief is hard, and it doesn't just, you don't come to Making Strides, celebrate your loved one, walk away, and just feel better about the whole thing. But it does kind of allow you that opportunity to honor them, remember them, um, and also hopefully, make a difference and impact those future generations. Maybe it's that, not doing something to help a future family member not be affected by the same disease that your family member was.
That's a really good point. All right, when we come back, we're going to ask Danielle who is her favorite superhero and how can you get involved to help out. Stay tuned. You're listening to the Jill Berlin Show. And welcome back. I'm Jill Berlin, and you are listening to The Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. If you're new to the show, I'm your licensed health insurance broker. You can email me with your questions at jill@rsvp65.com. I would love to hear from you. jill@rsvp65.com. And we are here with Danielle, who is the senior development manager with American Cancer Society. 1 in 3 people have been diagnosed with cancer in 2023, which is just a staggering statistic. And we were asking Danielle about this event that's happening Saturday, October 21st at Country Park in Greensboro. And what is the website for that so people can find out more details?
It is makingstrideswalk.org/triad-NC.
Okay, perfect. And so if people want to get involved or start, supporting
Mhm.
the American Cancer Society and they're hearing all these stories, what can they do?
There are many, many ways to support what we're doing at the American Cancer Society. As I mentioned previously in the show, we do have corporate sponsorship opportunities. So if you're a business owner, small or large, we do have some ways that you can uh, sponsor the event, and then also potentially help run a portion of the event, like a water station or something of that nature. If you're interested in starting a team, we have really no hard and fast requirements when it comes to having a Making Strides team. We have teams that come from the corporate space, from faith-based organizations, schools, friends and family groups. We talked a little bit about that earlier. People that want to honor or remember someone touched by breast cancer in their life. But you don't have to have a certain number of team members. You don't have to raise a certain dollar amount. We just want you to do what you can, honor that loved one, or honor that coworker. Maybe there's someone in your office that is currently battling breast cancer. Be able to have an opportunity to come together, raise funds, raise awareness, and rally around that person, that your why, the reason that you're fighting breast cancer. And then in addition to those two, we also always need volunteers. So with all of our local campaigns here in the Triad, we have a planning committee of volunteers who normally meet once a month. They really make all the magic happen. All the little details of what you can expect at the event, what you'll see at the event, really comes from those dedicated volunteers who come together and brainstorm and problem solve and figure out how we can make the best event experience that we can. And then on top of that, we also have day of volunteers who make it truly make it possible. Those committee of volunteers, my committee in particular, we have about 15 ladies that plan all those details, but 16 of us cannot make all of the actual magic happen that day. And so we have groups of volunteers that sign up for different shifts and come in and help us with signage and banners and hanging and making everything pretty, and just creating that atmosphere that everyone can come and enjoy. So volunteering is also something that we certainly need all year round at the American Cancer Society.
And another event that's coming up is the upcoming Survivor Spa and Sip event on
Yes.
October 9th. Tell us about that.
Yes, so we have a great partner, Avanti Salon in Greensboro, and they have hosted this event a couple of years now, and they have generously agreed to allow any local breast cancer survivors to come in on Monday, October 9th at 10 a.m. for this Survivor Spa and Sip event, and will do haircuts and styling completely free of charge for up to 20 ladies. And we have a couple of spots remaining, so it is an RSVP required type of event, just so we know how many to expect. We have a couple of spots remaining. So if anyone listening is a breast cancer survivor, and at the American Cancer Society, we consider you a survivor from the day you're diagnosed through the end of your life. So whether that's cancer related or not. So you are a survivor in our eyes from the day you were diagnosed. And so if you are a breast cancer survivor and would like to come join us, they'll be doing the haircuts, the hair styling. We'll have some brunch bites, since it's going to be at 10 a.m. that morning. If you're free or have a flexible schedule, we would love to have you. And you can visit our website for my contact information and how you can RSVP for that if you're interested.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell us too, who is your favorite superhero?
So I have two answers, a serious one and a not so serious
Oh,
one.
I love
So
that.
my serious answer, and maybe a little cheesy, but would be my mom. Again, kind of at the top of the hour when we talked a little bit about the journey that my niece is going through. now being an adult and kind of understanding what the ramifications of that, and knowing that my mom went through that, while also having a daughter in high school and a son in middle school, that she felt as if she was kind of missing out on some of the things that they were going through while she was caring for this sick child that she had no choice but to, take care of. And so just again, as an adult and getting a little sentimental and just understanding kind of exactly what that as close to, without actually walking that journey, kind of what she experienced. So that's my serious answer. My not so serious answer is Buzz Lightyear. I'm not a super big Marvel or superhero person, but I am a big Disney person, and so he is a space superhero, if you will. So
Have you ever been to Disney World?
Oh, yes. I actually did a internship during college and worked there in Magic Kingdom for about 6 months, so
Did you really?
yeah, super cool experience.
What?
If your
Just
college or
real quick on a side
university
note, what is
yes,
that like?
if your college or university offers the Disney College program, I would
Yeah,
100% recommend
tell me.
doing.
I really need you to take me through
And
that just for a second
the
here.
best part was I had never been to Disney World until I moved to
Oh my
Orlando to
gosh.
live there for 6 months and work there. I did food service at Cosmic Rays in Tomorrowland, in Magic Kingdom, and again, it was a wonderful experience. Actually, again, cheesy fun fact, that's where I met my husband.
Ah,
He went to a different college. He's from Georgia and I was from Tennessee, and our paths never would have crossed otherwise.
oh
So,
my gosh.
yes, great. And now we go to Disney any chance we get.
It's like a
So,
Disney match made in heaven.
I know. I love it, and then it's also just kind of cheesy at the same time, but it's our story. It is what it is. So
Yeah.
we love it.
Do you apply any of the things that you learned there to what you do today?
Oh, for sure.
Like, can you give me an
so
example?
much customer service. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
so much of what we do at the American Cancer Society, especially on the fundraising side, is about relationship building, providing a good experience for folks, whether it's a volunteer interaction or a full scale event.
Mhm.
So much of what I learned there in terms of that, just providing that level of customer service, no matter who the customer, what the situation, even if it doesn't necessarily, like, a volunteer doesn't necessarily feel like a customer to me, but they are in a way. And I'm providing that volunteer experience to them. And so absolutely use those skills and patience for maybe some not so smart questions that people might ask.
Well, fun fact for you, my son was actually in first grade, they have Famous American Day and they have to pick a famous American to be, research them, write a speech and memorize the speech, present the speech, teach them public speaking.
That's so cool.
And he picked Walt Disney.
Love that. Walt Disney's my birthday twin, actually. So
Oh, really?
we have the same birthday. So
Oh my gosh, which is
December 5th.
December 5th. Yeah. Well, he was an innovator, he was a creator,
Yes.
and he was definitely a good businessman.
Yes, a true pioneer, really, for his time. And it's just it's a bummer that he didn't kind of get to see all of it come to fruition. But yeah, very, very creative man.
Yep. All right. So let's just run back through this real quick. You've got 2 events coming up in October. The first one's October 9th. The second one is October 21st. Run through those one more time, in addition to the website for them to go to, which we will also post online.
Absolutely. October 9th, Survivor Spa and Sip, Avanti Salon in Greensboro. Free haircuts, free hairstyling, but we do need an RSVP. That information can be found on our website, which I will share just in a moment. In addition to that, our Making Strides Against Breast Cancer of the Triad Walk on October 21st at Country Park. Gates open for that at 8:30 that morning. The actual walk begins at 10 a.m. And all information, including my contact information, can be found on our website, which is makingstrideswalk.org/triadnc.
Okay. And so, Danielle, once again, we're so grateful that you came and you shared all this information, because it is so important. There's not a single person I know out there, if you say, has cancer impacted you one way or the other,
Right.
everyone says yes.
So true. Unfortunately,
Kind of
weaves us all together.
It really does. It does. It connects all of us together. And I think truly what you're doing is just making such a huge impact, not only on those around us, but in the community as well. And so we're just really grateful for everything you're doing and that you came here to share all this information.
Well, I really appreciate the platform to kind of share that information. And we cancer.org is our kind of national organization. So if you or a loved one have been touched by cancer, you want information, resources, definitely check out cancer.org.
All right, perfect. All right. Danielle with the American Cancer Society. You are listening to the Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. Stay tuned for some health.
Thursday night touchdown fun.
It's Thursday night football.
Such a good song. All right, welcome back. I am Jill Berlin. You are listening to the Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. And we are just going to leave you with a couple of health insurance tips here before we head out for the rest of the day. I'm also going to let you know what the weather's going to be like for today and the rest of the weekend. But first, let's talk a little bit about Medicare. So, open enrollment season starts in October, next month. And we officially get all the plans for the season for those 65 and older starting October 1st. And the reason that is because CMS, the federal entity that regulates Medicare, can actually retract the plans until that point. So if you have a health insurance agent broker who is talking to you about some of the plans, they're not really technically supposed to do that yet. So you can find out more information about these plans starting October 1st. And if you have questions about your plan or you want to just be educated, we at RSVP 65 can help you do that. And we are already starting to set up meetings starting in October. And then, of course, October 14th is the first day that you can sign up for a new plan that would then be effective January 1st, 2024. Okay, something to think about when you are going through the assessment of which plan you want, which plan you don't want, if you're going to keep it, if you're not going to keep it, is are you eligible for a chronic condition special needs plan. And the acronym for that is CSNP. So here I'm going to tell you some of the qualifying questions. Okay. It has to do with heart, diabetes, and lung disorder. Okay. So here are the questions for diabetes to see if you're eligible for what's called a CSNP plan. And if you are, you do get more coverage. So this is something you would want to apply for if that's the case. Okay. So if you answer yes to any of these following questions, then you might pre-qualify for one of the CSNP plans. Have you ever been told that you have high blood sugar or diabetes? Have you ever or do you currently monitor your blood sugar? Have you been prescribed or do you take insulin or an oral medication that's supposed to lower your blood sugar? If you answer yes to any of these questions, you might qualify for a CSNP. All right, here are the cardiovascular questions. Okay. Do you have a problem with your heart, had a heart attack, or have you been told that you had a heart attack? Do you have a problem with your circulation, or have you been told that you have problems with your circulation? Do you have pain in your legs when you walk that gets better when you stop and rest? I think that's kind of a general question. I think that that's actually true for me just about nearly every day. But here's some more qualifying questions for chronic heart failure. Have you ever been told you have heart failure or congestive heart failure? Have you ever been told you have fluid in your lungs? Have you ever been told you have swelling in your legs due to your heart? Okay, again, if you answered yes to any of these questions, you may be eligible for a chronic condition special needs plan, which enables you to get more coverage, also known as the CSNP. All right, so here are some of the qualifying questions for chronic lung disorder. Do you have any chronic breathing problems? Have you ever been told you have a lung problem such as emphysema, asthma, chronic bronchitis, scarring in the lung, or high pressure in the lungs? Do you use inhalers or other medicines for your breathing more than 3 times per week? So you can fill this information out if you answer yes to any of these questions. And then by filling this out, you are then giving consent to the carrier to contact your provider to confirm your chronic condition. And then what ends up happening is you, as an individual with these certain chronic conditions, qualify for these chronic condition special needs plan because of the physician diagnosis of the condition after it's verified. And then what ends up happening is you are eligible for better plans out there. So this is just an example of how you just need to be informed, need to be advised, know what's going on, and just keep up to date of things that are, happening in the health insurance world because open enrollment season is upon us. October is not just for fall, it's also for health insurance. Okay. So we are going to talk about the weather real quick before we head on out here for the week. Today, the high is 75, sunny. Friday, tomorrow, high of 79. Saturday, high of 79. And Sunday, high of 79. All sunny days. So, really just amazing weather today and this weekend, which I so love. And also, I want to go ahead and read to you the quote of the day. And it is by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. And she says, "It is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change." It is often the small steps, not the giant leaps, that bring about the most lasting change. And isn't that so true? Oftentimes, taking those small steps every single day is so hard. We get stuck in our routine. We do the same thing over and over again. And then changing those small habits seems like such an uphill battle. But if you just take those small steps, not the giant leaps, it will bring about lasting change. All right. I just want to say thank you to all our listeners and viewers on Facebook and those on rsvp65.com. If you missed parts of the show today, you can always watch the full episode on Facebook at Jill Berlin, or you can go to my website, rsvp65.com. And you can also go to the website for WSJS. We're all over the place. All right. I do want you to also join us next week when our guest is coming in. And as always, I'll have more insurance highlights. And you can contact me, Jill at rsvp65.com. And you have been listening to The Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. And we just always appreciate you listening. And let me tell you, all of us here at WSJS, we are a family. And it's so nice to be able to work with family members. And I say that all the time, not because I get paid to say it, but just because it's a fact. And I got to tell you, this is definitely one of the highlights of my professional week throughout the week because I love being here and I love talking to you all on the radio. I used to have a broadcasting background, and so being able to do this is just really fun for me. So anyway, I just want to keep you informed on next week. We will be having that our guest with our health insurance hero, Brian Kilmeade, will be coming up next. Fun fact, I actually interned at Fox News with Brian Kilmeade, who talked me out of being a sports broadcaster. And you've been listening to The Jill Berlin Show on WSJS News Talk Sports for the Triad. For Christian Snyder and Gray Brendel, I'm Jill Berlin. Until next week.
The Ride